Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another session at the A4Q Testing Summit Edition 2025. I'm very excited to be here with Marcel Veselka. Marcel has over 20 years of experience in software testing and development and is passionate about bringing intelligent, scalable testing solutions to teams everywhere. In this presentation, Marcel will be discussing AI-powered test automation, building bots in Playwright. Before I hand over to you, Marcel, I just quickly want to remind everybody that we have a Q&A session at the end, so please pop your questions into the chat so that Marcel can address them all at the end of his presentation. So with this said, not taking up any more of your time, Marcel, the stage is yours. Please tell us a little bit more about your presentation.
Great, thank you very much for having me. Thank you for the invitation. I'll start with sharing my screen and then let's go. Share screen, entire one, this one here. And now you should see my slides, right? Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Cool. So I would like to start with one short question. And that's this one. Maybe it's not so short. Could we achieve some fully autonomous state in testing? Is it even achievable? I asked this question more than 200 people last year. And I would like to share with you what answer I've got. And this was the answer. Some said yes, some no. Some of them said yes, but only for the simple cases or for something very specific. And I think this mood is changing, and I'm now measuring how the mood changed this year because of a lot of changes there. If I would turn this picture into some nice graph, this was the answer I've got. More than half of the people believe they could achieve a certain state of autonomy in software testing. But before I will start with the story, or before I will start and continue with these ideas, let me first introduce myself properly. So my name is Marcel Veselka, and I'm software testers all my career. And last couple of years, I spent time on building AI agents to test web apps. And to build this idea, we established a small startup called WOP.io or WOP Labs to find the answer to the question I start with, whether and how we could achieve this full autonomy. I would like to start, or I would like to share with you my story of building this, my story of building web app testing tool, which is built with Playwright. And I would like to share this story with you because I believe it might be some inspiration. I would like to share with you where we failed, what was the initial ideas, and how we developed the idea into current state, and what you could learn from it so you don't need to fail in that areas where we failed in the past. And maybe from there, you can use other open source tools to build your bots or AI agents, as we call them these days. So my talk will be split into 3 sections or 3 parts. I will first introduce the idea. I'll be talking about autonomous testing. What is it about? How we developed that idea initially, where it failed and where it worked. And then I will move to the current state or the current era where we are discussing now AI agents. And then I will try to predict what will happen after, not only to us, but to entire industry in software testing. So this is the structure I will follow next few minutes, 40, 45, 50 minutes. And let me first start with this, how we find the idea. So the initial idea and how it all starts. I was working for one company I found before WOP.io. It's called Tesena, and one of our customers asked us to deliver workshop about the future of test automation. First, when they request me to deliver this kind of workshop, I was kind of maybe shocked would be too strong, but I was surprised because I didn't know what it could contain, what to expect. But after a few minutes, I find it as a super exciting challenge because I need to research the market. I need to probably review what I learned until that time and deliver something, some topics, some ideas, what will happen in the future and what's going on there. And to do so, I need to read maybe more than 40 blog posts, interviews, podcasts, YouTube videos, some scientific articles. But at the end, my goal was to find something tangible, something practical. So at the end, I wanted to deliver some demos to show the customer how it could work. There was 6 or 8 ideas. I predict that this is probably worth to explore and analyze and maybe even adapt. And one of the idea on my list where I failed was autonomous testing. In that time, Gartner was talking a lot about that, and I will be talking about their prediction soon. But before that, let me explain what's the autonomous testing, or why I was so crazy about the idea and why I fell in love with the idea of autonomous testing. After multiple months or even years, I simplified the definition of autonomous testing for myself, and I'm using it also during my talks to make it super simple. So what is this autonomous testing? The idea behind is that we will reduce human effort in software testing. And to do so, we need to introduce or use some clever algorithms. Of course, the automation or extreme automation using traditional tools might help a lot because this could help to reduce the efforts, but still to create this or implement this and then maintain, eat up a lot of efforts. So we have some other ideas or alternatives how we could enhance this idea of automation. And people say that autonomous testing is also AI powered or AI augmented. So the other idea behind the autonomous testing is let's apply AI to help us to reduce the efforts. But this is nothing else than searching for some more efficiency in software testing, but not only in software testing, but in entire software development. And in past, when we start with software testing, and then when we decided, or that was not my decision, but the industry itself decided that it would be good to have some independent testing. Now people might question that idea, but in the past we had a lot of manual testing. We start building some testing teams. But after some time, we found out that this might be too slow and manual and tedious work. So people start working on some automation testing or test automation, building scripts, robots. Then maybe they introduce some tools to support that. And later, I think it was in 2010. So actually, this is 15 years old idea. It's a bit funny that someone said first time, what about autonomous testing? Could we bring this automation even further and make it completely autonomous? And there is a lot of discussions that we don't have time to that, but basically this is the idea of autonomous testing. Make the automation even more automated. Let's focus not only for the into the execution, but also let's build and maintain the testing automatically or test activities automatically. So let me now move on and just quickly show you that there was a lot of tools supporting each and every idea in the manual testing era or the phase. People were using Excels or maybe even Word documents. Then we introduced some maybe other tracking tools like Jira or TestRail. Later we introduced Selenium, Appium, Cypress, these days Playwright, to support automation. And last couple of days, people started working on some autonomous testing ideas, which came later after the test automation. Some people keep asking me in this slide or in this part of the talk, and actually, unfortunately, online it couldn't be so interactive, whether there is whether there is the edge between manual automation and not autonomous. And my answer is clear. No, there are not three eras or three time frames. We combine these approaches always together, but the capabilities are changing. So maybe the adoption of test automation 20 years ago looked a bit different than we could afford these days, and same for autonomous testing. So this is the idea of autonomous testing and how it developed from manual process. And where I found this, probably for me, this was first time. Actually, I found out that there are multiple other sources you could learn some more details about it. But for me, it was Gartner Hype Cycle for Agile and DevOps. And when I saw it first time, it was around 2020, so 5 years ago. They said that this autonomous testing will basically eat up certain amount of testing market. Their prediction was 30% in time of 5 to 10 years. 2 years later, they report again a new release of Gartner Hype Cycle, and they predict that it is super hype topic, very sexy on the top of that hype cycle. And they predict that it'll take just 2 to 5 years to get there. And year after that, they basically just renamed this autonomous to AI augmented testing, which for me, at least my interpretation is that they understood that fully autonomous testing maybe cannot be achieved very soon or soon. And it's similar discussion about AGI, where we could get there. But there was a new prediction, but they didn't change the timing. And they see this topic like it's going down on that hype cycle. And maybe it's important to understand that the valley down there, or that dip down there, I sometimes call a valley of death. And some ideas cannot pass through, because once they are all on the right side, then the idea is fully scalable and ready for production use everywhere. But let's move on from this kind of high-level views and visions and dreams into something more practical. Because what I would like to share with you, how we approach this idea and what we try to build. And at the beginning, we felt like, okay, this is a huge. We will need to implement a lot of machine learnings, and this was before OpenAI, GPTs, and all these new LLM waves. And we felt like, okay, we will need to use TensorFlow and PyTorch to develop some tool, but we decided that we will need to focus also. So we decided that we will take only web app testing and implement this idea there. And I would like to start with the story, how it went. So what we did first, we built simple crawler. Actually, the first crawler was just fork from already some existing one, but later we found out that we need to build some own crawler. And we collect the screenshots. And these screenshots and the map of the app helped us to do some quick regression testing. So we start from the homepage or from the initial URL, and then we were able to navigate through the page and collect the screenshots. We keep these screenshots, and then we just compare the screenshots against the baselines, or those which we collect during the initial crawling. And for us, this was autonomous testing for regression of bugs on simple apps. But you might notice that there are a couple of challenges here. First, we were able to only click. We couldn't fill any forms. A second, some components these days in the modern web applications are dynamic. And if you have a dynamic apps, comparing the screenshots might not work. So we start masking these screenshots or areas, or reducing that threshold to compare. So we accept that the comparison do not need to be 100% the same, and so on. But this idea was working, and we were super excited about that. But looking back now, it was pretty naive. But after some months, because this was maybe first 6 months of the idea building, we found out that we could use some LLM models. And in that time, OpenAI was releasing GPT 3.5 available via REST API. So first thing what we did was that we tried to augment Playwright code or our Playwright scripts to solve first, but maybe the most painful problem of test automation. And these are locators. So our first prototype, what we built was that we basically create some custom functions to be able, instead of providing locators, the example in green code, we instead of that implement something like action with English language, simple English language. So instead of providing this locator, we were able to provide simple instruction like navigate to login page. And with this custom function, with this navigate to login page, we were able to generate a locator which need to be used. So it simplifies our interaction or our building of the script. And it also helps us with some small maintenance because we couldn't or we do not need to rewrite the hard-coded XPaths. There were a lot of challenges like speed, stability, and also sometimes you want to really see that something is failing. So we need to enhance this. But one of the other idea we built, we also not built the simple language or simple English language to navigate with the page, but we were also trying to build something to generate the test data. So instead of one action, we try to fill in the entire page. And for that, we've got some generated locators and test data. This worked, but as I said, there was a lot of challenges, and we find out at the end that we could use this idea of navigating and interacting with the page, but it needs to be heavily enhanced. And I will show you on the next slides how we keep enhancing the idea, because this was not enough. Just quick or some more detail about this. With this approach, we were able to automate various websites if the flow was the same. So even we change completely the URL of the app to test, or the app we test, we could get the new locators, different locators, and different test data based on the app we tested. So this was kind of first signal where we saw, maybe these LLMs could help us. But we also know that there are a lot of challenges. I don't have too much time now to discuss the challenges. If you have, if this is interesting for you, just drop me a question and during the Q&A, we can quickly cover that. So what we did next, because we felt like, okay, good, but this is not enough. So we decided that we will use the crawling features and maybe enhance them with some more functionalities. So I was trying to simplify this process, but I am not sure whether I succeed. But we basically crawl the app, we collect the screenshots as the initial idea, but we add also some, or the map was there, so list of URLs were there, but we also store all the HTML files. And the reason for that was that we didn't want to use LLM for test execution on the fly, for the reasons I already mentioned, like speed, stability, repeatability, and so on. So the LLM itself was not so good for the test execution, but we felt like this could be used to build and then maintain our tests. So from this first data, this first step, crawling the app, we use LLM to propose user stories. So we basically reverse engineer the app to generate the user stories. And from that, we generate also tests and later test code. Each and every step need to be reviewed. That's one of the questions I was getting when I was presenting this idea to my friends and other testing experts. We didn't achieve state that we could just keep it running on autopilot without any involvement. In some cases, we need to even add or remove some ideas into the list. But this looked like it will work, and we were excited to enhance it further. So take it as another idea how you could build your own machine to generate your automated code. And this is one of the topic I'm trying to always stress out. It's not about copy pasting into any chat app. You need to build these LLM workflows into a certain way. I'll be talking about that later. So what I did first, or what we did first, was that from these screenshots, we generate the user stories. It looked like this. Actually, the output was in Markdown file. I just tried to make it a bit nicer for the talk. And then later from that, we generate the test cases. That was simple app. I am not saying that this would work for the more complex apps. I believe it would, but you need to shape your prompts and data processing to get the right results. And we are doing it, and I'll be covering this topic later today. But at the end, we end up with this simple prototype to be packaged in npm package. So if you are JavaScript test automation engineer, and if you are using Playwright, this is what we built as a prototype or very early kind of preview, and you can easily download it and play with it. I have a short demo for you how it works. So once you install that, you need to provide this config file, and then you simply start the crawling by running the command. You can see on the line 2 that that's my URL I'm crawling, and I'm trying to collect 10 pages. And out of these 10 pages, first I'm trying to collect the HTML files and minifying them. And then I'm also collecting the screenshots. And this is basically my food, in quotes, for my LLM to deliver or generate the user stories. So how I generate the user stories, I just then change the command to run stories, and then I'm feeding the LLM with the files and generating the stories. And same goes to tests, and same goes to code. I just changing the data and prompts I'm using, but it's fully automated. And it could even run as a part of CI/CD pipeline, so you can get the fresh tests all the time. I don't want to now discuss whether it would be useful or not. In terms of running it in CI/CD, you could run it in this way manually. And I was running this on multiple workshops, and for the simple cases, people were excited and telling me, you know what, it's maybe 60 to 80% good. We still need to tweak it, but it saves us a lot of time, and we don't need to start from the scratch. So if you like it, you can try it yourself. You just need to have an OpenAI API key, or I think, it works also with Microsoft Azure. If you have Microsoft Azure OpenAI model deployed, you can run it there as well. But take it as an inspiration. You can do it. You can do it yourself. Write entire tool. But I felt like this might be useful for others, at least to start with something. If you are searching for the ideas how to start with AI and software testing, this might be first experiment to play with. So this is basically it, and that's the last part of the demo, where I will generate the code from the tests, and I will get the Playwright code. So what would be the next? You have generated all the code, so now you should create a pull request and ask your colleagues to review. Of course, you will need to clean up the code. It's not so, the demos are always polished to be nice, but you always need to step in, and you always need to make sure that what you've got is correct. Sometimes you need to change the behavior of the tool, the LLM workflow, but sometimes it's easier to adjust the code you've got, and then you could create your test automation tests. So you can see that it generates this type of code. Whether you like it or not, I don't know. It might be good enough. Sometimes you want to have page objects or something else. In that case, you need to build a more complex tool to build it. It could be done these days with LLMs, but to make it super simple and clear to showcase, it's built in this way. Okay, but it looks like, as I said, demos are polished to be nice, and I could show you something which might be good, but maybe I'll tell you a few more stories behind. So this was the code where I felt like, okay, this is good enough, and it took me a few credits for OpenAI and a few minutes to wait. Maybe I could have a coffee until it'll finish. But I would like to show you also some strange behaviors. And the strange behaviors by LLM especially is that sometimes it hallucinates. And this is like very tiny hallucination, but this is one of the example. First, it took some random test data because I didn't provide any data in context. And it assumes that there is some dashboard, but there is no dashboard behind login screen after I'm logging in. Another interesting example, I was running this checkout test, and it assumes that this card number is one edit field, but it was not. It was 4. So some of these issues were solved by providing the HTML, especially the second one. But sometimes you need to provide more specific context. Sometimes you need to bring your functional specification, or maybe sometimes you need to write down some specific rules you would like to follow in your generators. So this is extra work we typically don't do in traditional test automation. And some people challenge this because they are saying, okay, but I just need to move my focus on something else. And I'm saying, yes, LLM or AI in general, helping you a lot in various areas, but you need to understand and also accept that you will need to introduce new activities. As the test automation brought us to different type of problems, AI will do the same. It will probably speeding up us to deliver some or solve some problems quicker, but we will need to deal with some new ones we never had before. But that's not maybe fitting into this story, because or here I will be talking in a summary about that maybe in more advanced way. But this looks like we are very close to get something fully autonomous, like from URL to automated code. That was the idea behind, with small touch of humans. And we were excited about that. We even built this into UI. So you don't need to touch the terminal. You don't need to run any code. We will wrap up this into UI. And we had the option to switch between these two. But one of the big thing happened like 6 months ago, maybe even 8 months ago. Yeah, it might be 8 months already. Someone started talking about AI agents. And these AI agents, or if you wish, I'm often using the term bot, but these days we call them agents. This was something which looked like it will solve some issues we had in the previous idea. So until now, we were talking about LLM workflows or LLM applications, where we had one or multiple shoots into LLM models to get the results. We process the output, we combine it with some other data, and we just iterate to get the final output, like the code or like user stories. But with AI agents, we were able to do a bit more. And we felt, okay, we need to integrate it. And we already did that. So that's why I would like to continue here with the rest of the story. And what happened was that maybe before I will start or continue with the story, I would like to very quickly clarify what is the LLM application or LLM workflow and what is the AI agent and how it works and why this is worth to consider. So what is the LLM application or workflow? It's nothing else than system that combines LLM with other algorithms. So you basically, as we did in our Playwright code, call LLM and get some response. You could combine multiple tools or some memories or some other resources to make it better. If you're interested in that topic, actually the picture here is from Anthropic blog post. You can find more and better explanation there. But this is not able to decide itself, learn from it, and so on. You need to script this kind of, in quotes, learning. But with AI agents, what happened was that we were able to take some actions, we could execute or conduct the action, and then decide on the next steps. So it was more kind of autonomous approach where we were able to take the high-level task, split it into the smaller ones, and run this small low-level task, learn from it, and execute and even improve in the future. So these AI agents got some planning ability and were able to reason, to think, in quote, think. Some people criticizing AI, telling me, or not me, but shooting back always that AI cannot reason. But the term reasoning is from the how to say it, from the industry terminology or vocabulary. So the LLM or the agent is able to reason or rethink when it fails. In order to understand this, and if you are interested in that, actually this is the link to Anthropic blog post where I took these images from. So if you're interested, you go there and read more. But there are multiple blogs, and it's efficient to understand, or it's good to understand. If you are interested in that, I'm covering that typically in my workshops. The next one is scheduled for September. It'll be much more advanced, detail, one day full of these topics. So join me there. It'll be in Prague on site. It will be fantastic event. But let me tell you just that there are certain building blocks which agent is able to use, and I will explain this in more practical way, not going into too much theoretical details on the upcoming. I think in 4 slides I have the explanation. But let's maybe start with very quick demo how this agent could help us, or how it works first, and then how we integrate them. So the idea behind of the AI testing agent was that we will build something super simple. How it works: if you want to build an AI testing agent, some simple one, I used, and this is demo with open source Versal AI SDK, where you need to provide system prompt. These are basically the rules what the agent need to follow, and based on these rules, it will behave and interact with your app under the test. And then you have something what we call user prompt. And within this user prompt, you need to provide your test case or test, if you wish. And in my case, I had this simple one: you are QA tester for testing login procedure. And you should test login with valid credentials, and these are my credentials. Of course, you can have system environment system variables or environment variables to hide these credentials and deal with a lot of other stuff. But this is basically the idea behind. And once you have this, then we need to use some of the building blocks to run the agent. So what I am providing to the agent, which is basically nothing else like generating the text, or we can generate also object. This is the way how the framework I mentioned implemented. Then you need to provide model, system, and user prompt, and then set of tools. In my case, it was Star Testing, which was the tool to open browser. Then I had some other tool to analyze the screenshots and finding out what's on the screenshot to decide on the next step. Then I have had some other tools like click, fill, select, or get element or page elements. So I could pick up the locators using this get page element for the about tools. If something failed, I had some report issue to store the report in some backtracking tool. It could be simple Excel file or CSV file, but it could be also some connection to Jira or some other reporting tool. And then at the end, I have closed the browser. The rest is just for some reporting purposes, and I limit the agent to execute maximum 30 steps to achieve the goal of the user prompt. So once I have this, I execute that with my tool or against my application I mentioned at the beginning, which we used also for prototyping the crawling. What's happening here? On the right side, you can see all the tool calls, all the details, all the execution of the tools. So I basically interact with the app on the left. And first thing what happened was that I navigate to login page. Now the agent analyzing it, and it finds out that it would be good to fill in the login name and the password. Actually, now we are on the step 8. Then it goes to the step 10 to click on the sign in button. And then it analyzes whether it achieves the result. At the end, this was the output. After this agent finished, you can see what was the output from the agent. There was basically very short report that login process was successful. And there was also some explanation what happened there. Of course, you can improve this simple agent. You can get some more structured data out of it. It could have a status, binary status like passed, failed. It could have some object of steps with step names and descriptions and expected results and so on. But for this simple demo, I decided to build it in this way so you can see how this works. And now I would like to bring this idea into the story of building this autonomous testing. So before that, just quickly challenges here, because I still feel like it could be improved. So first challenge for me was that it's pretty high maintenance because you need to build the tools, you need to integrate all these things together and then keep updating them. Sometimes it's pretty difficult to repeat the test because whenever you run it, even you change the tool or the UI application under test change, there is no easy way to get the same results or same behaviors of the agent. And we don't store the history and all these things in this simple demo. I will just quickly go through that because maybe I covered some of the topics there. But there was multiple ideas behind, and take it, maybe it's not challenges, it's more ideas how we could improve it further. And some of these could be done easily. On the right side, I'm just trying to repeat or summarize the code or the idea that this simple agent used some set of tools. But how we could bring this back to the initial idea. If you remember, that was some kind of LLM workflows, as I said, and multiple and then some multi-agent testing. So if you look on that flow, collecting the HTML files and screenshots, later building the user stories, test cases, and at the end, the test script, I was thinking, okay, where are the areas where this AI agent could help us? And one of the things was the data collection, because if you remember, the crawler was pretty stupid. And the reason was that it was able to click and very difficult to navigate through the page. It couldn't fill in the data and so on. So maybe AI agent might help us to collect the screenshots and collect the HTML files to make actually the data we are feeding LLM with much better. And then I was thinking also, what about the hallucination at the end? We got the scripts which hallucinates, but if we would run the first test case by agent, we exactly know how it behaves. So even there would be some suggestion from LLM to run some test case, running the agent at the end would help us to validate or at least check whether this could be done. So what we did, we actually changed the AI crawler, or we changed the crawler to become an AI agent. And we keep this business analyst role, test analyst role, and even test developer role as an AI workflow. But we had another role, which was test executor, to run it as an AI agent. And to be super precise, this developer is these days, or we are now thinking about the as that, or a test developer as an AI agent as well. So we have this test developer as an AI agent, because we believe this code generation is much better using AI agent than just simple AI workflow, because we can check and conduct the test. Still tweaking that. As I said, this is the story of what we learned and how it works and where we go. And I believe this kind of approach or principles could be taken to even to Cypress or Selenium or any other WebDriver IO or any other tools. But this is how we are building it with Playwright. So let me show you now how we combine all these ideas into another demo. And actually, this is not the demo of some prototype, but maybe a kind of recent stage of how far we were able to go. So we have some UI to do that. So as I said, some people don't like to use any UI to test the automation. Some, especially manual tester, really appreciate that they do not need to learn too much coding. So in this case, I just execute crawling. And I'm collecting the data from the page using AI agent. So it's pretty dynamic based on the prompt. And I'm getting some data to process. Later, what's happening with the data, I generate some application context and user stories. From these, I'm getting the test cases. All these test cases have some steps with some locators, data, and everything prepared. So I could see it even as a manual tester, and I could execute them. And in this case, I'm executing this pre-generated test using our agent. So I'm basically validating that this test works well, and there is no any hallucinated step or anything like that. And if it's so, it try to fix that and conduct it or execute it properly. So once this finish, you have all the traceability about the tests. You can see all the steps. Actually, now it's running. So you can go into GitHub repository, which is integrated, and see exactly the same track or same log as you saw in my first simple demo. Of course, it's heavily enhanced. We put a lot of more data processing and validations there. So it's not exactly the same in terms of what's happening under the hood, but you could see all the details, how the locators was identified, how it then fill in all the data and so on. I don't want to go into too much details because, as I said, this is just the idea how you could build something similar. So that's it from this current stage. So we implement the AI agents to help us to improve efficiency of our test automation. And we are building this as a product, so that's something what might be also interesting for you. But I believe you can do it yourself if you have enough resources and time. But we are excited, and this is super simple. One more idea. We are trying to simplify this entire process because you probably noticed that on the market, people talking about vibe coding, and we were thinking, okay, what about vibe testing? And to be honest, I'm not the first one thinking about that, or I felt like that's my idea, but I found out that there are many other people talking about vibe testing. But what we did, and if you want to play with that, we built something simple to start test even automation with. And this is our new landing page. Just 1 week ago, we released that it might be still a bit buggy. And I'm offering €100 credit voucher for everyone who is reporting me any bugs from here or from the product. So try it, play with it. This is basically how you could start your test automation, just prompting the tool, and you will get some. But this is for fun. Maybe you like it, maybe not. But we are trying to make some simple first touch of these AI-powered tools. So if you want to play, let's play. And now let me move on, because this is just current stage, and it will be just better in a few weeks or months, as you could see it now. So if it's not good enough for you now, I believe definitely this or any other this type of tools will grow in their maturity and will become super powerful. So what will be the future about? And this was, I promised myself that I will deliver also the third part of my talk, but it's pretty challenging. And to be honest, I don't know what will happen in the future. That's my question. And sometimes I'm just thinking about what I should focus on, where we should drive our approach or strategy in software testing in the future. What will happen, how it will work. I don't know, but I believe, or I decided to use this part of my talk to give you some tips or ideas I'm thinking about. Even it might not be maybe the future kind of right guess. First, I would suggest, if I would be, or I am in software testing and I already start with AI experiments a few years ago. But if you didn't, my first big advice for the future is start small, experiment, and learn how this could help you. Not the only in web app testing, but in general, how AI could help you with testing. And it's like with test automation 20 years ago, we will struggling a lot. There will be some pains, but I believe it will keep going and develop. And in some cases, it's already succeeding. In some cases, it's still not good enough. But I believe it's much quicker than test automation in terms of adoption and also improvement, how it works. If you would like to search for some first AI agent workflows, how to build them for free or for some small amount of money, this is my list. This is the list when I was researching. This was first, I would say, 6 tools I explored. I built first prototype with Hugging Face small agent. Then I moved to Vercel AI SDK. Then I was playing also with Lang Graph. And then I quickly explored documentation of Llama, Index, and Crew AI. All these tools are, I would say, interesting and with a huge potential. I'm not advising to use none of them, because you might decide that some of these tools are good for you, but all of them are good to start with something, to experiment, to learn how this could work. And I found within their documentation that there is a lot of know-how you could learn from. Sometimes it's too, how to say that, blended with marketing statements, but often you can find a lot of interesting topics. The last one on the list is N8N. It's actually a startup based in Berlin, if I'm right. It's no-code tool, and we are using it for some other experiments and prototyping still. And I would advise you can run it locally. It's for free. You can run it in Docker, and it's drag and drop basically to build some first prototypes. You still need to be a bit technical, but it's simple and quick to build, and people building crazy stuff with it. So this would be my how to say it, some list of the frameworks I would consider. And now let me just quickly give you some rumors or what I could see out there. And I'm not sure whether anything from here from this will happen or how it will behave or impact us. But there are multiple things which might happen in the future. Some people say that with this vibe coding there is no SAS, but some people say that even front end is not, how to say that, the future. People will turn into voice. So I don't know what we will test then with Playwright if we are focused on web app. But the question is, what will happen if every company will build their own small, tiny tool, vibe coded? How we will test it? Do we need to test it? Is that some opportunity for us to adapt to that, or it'll be covered by vibe coding tools? I don't know. Some people are saying that test automation is broken, that there is no more need for test automation because we could prompt with cursor. Some people say that maybe record and play will finally work with these AI-powered features, because it could self-heal, and even it's messy what we are getting from recorders and difficult to scale and maintain with AI features. Maybe it might finally work. Some people start talking about something new because agents is already outdated topic. It's here a couple of months already. So there are some MCP waves, or Google announced agent-to-agent, API-to-API calls. So I don't know whether this will somehow standardized, but there is a new things out there. You might notice that MCP Playwright is also released few, I would say already months ago, maybe weeks. And this is something what also help us to speed up our developments and innovations in this autonomous ideas. But these are the new things. It's good to see, but sometimes it's too overwhelming. So being 6 or 3 months behind the edge of innovation is sometimes better, because you know that something settled down and you don't waste too much time on the most sexy topics if you are not excited about the topic itself. But I am, so I'm often following these new things. Let me quickly summarize.
Yes, Marcel, we have to move towards the end. Don't want to interrupt you. So,
Yeah. So I thought we have 1 hour, right? Or not?
We need to move into the closing session now.
Okay. So this is what I wanted to tell you, and thank you very much for following or watching me. That's it, basically. But yeah, I thought we have 1 hour. If not, then sorry for that, because I was still watching that we have 8 minutes. But if not, then...
All right, Marcel. Well, thank you very much for this presentation. It was really interesting, and we do have a bunch of questions, but we're going to skip this for now. So please, we want to encourage you to put your questions into the chat, and we can pass it along to Marcel, and then Marcel can get back to you and provide us a little bit more insight. I also want to remind you that we have our Best Speaker and our Best Presentation Awards. So please go to our testingsummit.com website, Marcel's landing page, and submit your vote for this presentation. And this presentation, as well as all the other presentations that we've had today, will be streamed, and you can rewatch it on our social media channels and the testingsummit.com website. So I want to thank everybody that's joined this session. And Marcel, thank you for participating once again in the Testing Summit. And thank you. I hope that you have a lovely day. We look forward to sharing more insight with you on the rest of the streams that we have available. Thank you, Marcel.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Software testers. Move beyond theory and master testing with the AI-powered ISTQB add-on practical tester by A4Q program. The ISTQB add-on practical tester by A4Q equips you with the theoretical skills and practical competence to truly excel. Learn how to apply black box testing like a pro. Estimate accurately, write flawless defect reports, and catch issues early. The ISTQB add-on practical tester by A4Q complements your ISTQB certification by turning knowledge into powerful action. Visit our websites and find out more information.